Welcome to Now Daily. I'm Robert Crawford. Today I wanted to talk about the media, the mainstream media, because I think a lot of people are getting confused. They're getting confused with the election. They're getting confused with just facts in general. And I really want to take a hard look at the mainstream media and why we created Now Daily to go against them, to be a counter force to the mainstream media, because we saw that they were completely corrupted. They're completely corrupted with the facts. They fabricate stories, and the proof is long. It goes on for decades. It goes back to really when I started researching something called Operation Mockingbird. And let's pull it up right now for a second. Operation Mockingbird actually took place a number of years ago. And here's the Wikipedia for it. You can trust Wikipedia or not. Like I said, everything that I tell you, please do your own research. This is just from my own research, from a number of other people and authors and books that I've read. Operation Mockingbird basically came out in Senate testimonials that the CIA was running media operations within the United States, which begun in the 1950s. And they even had major media players on the CIA's payroll, including at the time, right here, it says that they even had, by the early 1950s, Wisner owned respected members of the New York Times, Newsweek, CBS, and other communication vehicles. Now, we could go into the details of this, and I highly suggest that you go and look into it. But one of the main reasons I wanted to talk about this today was a recent article that I read about the top U.S. media publishers. This was published on Digital Vision. Basically, the Washington Times came out and they basically published the top media publishers for May of 2016. And it really caught my eye. Most of them you're going to recognize as the mainstream media, right? Number one was MSN, which combined page views of about 1.8 billion actually. So a ton of page views. Second was Disney Media Networks. No surprise there. What really surprised me was the third position, increased in rank by one, was Matt Drudge and the Drudge Report. And the Drudge Report, if you look on this list, right, you have MSN, Disney, Time Warner, Google, Fox, Yahoo, Time, NBC, CBS, BuzzFeed, the New York Times, AOL, Gawker, which is now filed for bankruptcy, the Gannett, Forbes. Those, to me, are the mainstream media. That's what a lot of people are still claiming as the authority sources for the news. But when you see the Drudge Report on there, that's a lone alternative to all the other sources. It tells me that the market, that we are basically hungry for other sources of news because we don't feel like we're getting the full story through the mainstream media on the sources like Disney, MSN, Time Warner, Google. I've seen a number of videos that show how Google itself has changed search results in favor of Hillary Clinton. Like I've said, I'm not for any of these candidates right now. Right now, I'm just for the facts of what's going on in our society. So you have to question, are these mainstream media sources, these large corporations, do they have your best interest at heart? And are they really journalists looking for the truth, or are they the media playing stories to change your opinions? So let's take that Operation Mockingbird into account, because we know that that happened in the past. And then let's ask the question, is it still going on right now? That's the question I asked. And I discovered some really interesting information. If you do a quick search for CIA Media Liaison on Google, your first one will actually be at CIA.gov, Public Affairs. And if you click on this, it'll take you to the CIA.gov website, offices of the CIA, and you can look at their media relations. Here you can even see that the agencies entertainment industry liaison is a member of the media team and engages with actors, authors, directors, producers, and screenwriters who are featuring the CIA in their creative ventures. And you may say, oh, well, that's for anyone that's just telling a story about the CIA or somehow is featuring the CIA, just make sure that they get all the facts correct. Possibly. But if we know for a fact through Senate testimonials under oath that Operation Mockingbird in the 1950s and 60s was literally changing the media stories in terms of domestic propaganda, let's take that for an example and let's say, is this still going on? The industry entertainment liaison is very interesting that the CIA has this on their website. So it tells me that the CIA does have a division that's in direct contact with screenwriters, producers, and other media officials. The question is, to what extent are they influencing those media officials? So then I wanted to ask, okay, well, I've heard a lot of rumors that the NDAA, the National Defense Authorization Act, recently snuck in some provisions of a bill that allowed the CIA to have domestic propaganda in the United States. And I said, this is probably just another conspiracy theory, another rumor, until I looked up the bill myself. Here on Congress.gov, H.R. 1735, the National Defense Authorization Act for fiscal year 2016. And I started really combing through this. And I'm not going to go through the specifics right now, but you can click on the link below to actually read this yourself. But there are a number of provisions that were put in here that looks like it would give the CIA the authority now to have domestic propaganda within the United States. It's widely been used outside of the United States, ongoing since the creation of the CIA. They use propaganda in operations in Iraq. They use propaganda in Syria, Libya, Ukraine. All these other countries, they can influence the media. It came out recently, just a few weeks ago, that members of the German media were paid CIA operatives on their payroll. And they came out and said that they basically tell them what stories to run, whether those stories are true or not. So what I'm getting at, and I want you to do some research on your own, but my gut's telling me that a lot of the mainstream media that you see, CNN, NBC, what you're seeing on TV, is very controlled by the government. It's controlled to the point where, I mean, even what's out in the open, right? I think it's the FCC, the Federal Communication Commission regulates what can be said on TV, right? And now we know that they're having a big push to regulate what is being said online. We've also seen Facebook coming out, and they're getting caught with regulating what's going on with certain news feeds. Now, really wouldn't surprise me if that media liaison with the CIA is working in conjunction with Facebook, working in conjunction with CNN, and all these other sources. I've seen enough facts to make me really question it. I can't tell you if this is a certainty or not, although I'm sure if you did enough digging, you could find even more proof to solidify this theory. But I really think that the media is portraying stories and propaganda to make us think the way that they want to think. You could tell that they don't touch on a lot of certain aspects, right? The media is not talking about the Federal Reserve System and how the solutions of the Federal Reserve. And you notice that the political debates in the mainstream media are always about the two major parties, the Democrats and Republicans. And I've done in videos in the past how I think that they're both authoritarians. You never hear the media ask this question of, is government even necessary? So they're not having a real debate. They're controlling the debate. And they're literally controlling the presidential debates. So let's ask ourselves, is the mainstream media informing us to our best interests? Because if we're not informed with the facts of the situation, we can argue about theories and political points of view all day long, but without the facts, it's all pointless because we don't know what the real story is. And we need to start asking, what is the real story? So it really caught my eye when I saw Drudge Report as number 3. Drudge Report on a monthly basis, according to this, is getting about 1.2 billion page views a month. And Drudge Report is just a site that people go to find other links to other news sites. They're just picking out the other mainstream news stories out there. More importantly, Drudge really isn't linked from other sites. So most of the traffic going to Drudge is directly to Drudge. And on here, it says 95% of that traffic is coming from desktops, which is rare because if you look at Facebook, over 50% of Facebook traffic is coming from mobile devices. So most people are using their laptops or desktops to go directly to Drudge. They're literally typing drudgereport.com and going directly to it. And that says a lot. So ask yourself, what media organization do you trust? Or should we trust any of them? Or really should we be looking at all of them for the facts and the truth in between the news stories? I'm Robert Crawford. This is Now Daily. You can check more information out on nowdaily.com. Comment below. Let me know if there's a media source that you trust and why you trust it.